For those who don't know, Styxhexenhammer is a right-wing grifter, one of the many YouTubers who has made a living as this kind of ostensibly apolitical jackass on YouTube. He's having a good old laugh about Bernie dropping out. So let's see what he has to say about it.
Alright everyone, it's time for a special edition of the Styxhexenhammer show here because Bernie Sanders has just suspended his presidential campaign. He's finally thrown in the towel now. In the wake of Wisconsin choosing to vote, there was no longer a path forward to victory for Sanders. Now, of course, I said there was no path forward for a victory about a month ago, but a lot of the Bernie bros didn't want to believe it. It's going to be
So there was a narrow path to victory. If he had won big in Wisconsin, it may have given him the momentum and proof that people wanted Bernie over Biden. Unfortunately, a confluence of circumstances, including the fact that most of the polling places in Wisconsin were shut down, meant that there was not enough votes for Bernie to put him over the top. I haven't seen the actual numbers for Wisconsin, but it's pretty irrelevant at this point. That said, if you do have a primary and you can safely vote, you need to do so. If Bernie can get up to 1,200 delegates, even though it's not going to be enough to put him over the top for the nomination, it gives him and his campaign people influence in the party going forward.
mining time tonight, so you can join me on Twitter and we're going to have some fun with Bernie, his supporters, rambling and reeing and screaming and going crazy. By the way, the news actually broke. Like the post was made while I was talking to Ramsey Paul live earlier. You can go check that out, by the way. Go check out Ramsey Paul's channel. I'll put the link in the description actually to that, and you can go watch that. It was definitely a fun time, not least because of Bernie Sanders choosing to finally end his political career. And I do say career, by the way. I'd like to make this clear. This is not the end of his campaign only. This is the end to his political career, his political aspirations. The dude's almost 80. He's probably not going to be able to run for the Senate again. If he does at this point, because he's going to end up having to endorse Biden and so forth, he'd probably lose. It'd be funny to see Vermonters punish him. Of course, in 2016, Bernie Sanders pulled in 85% of the Democratic primary vote. This time, on Super Tuesday, it was 51%. His political capital has been burned off over time because a lot of the people that thought of him as revolutionary have come to realize he's not. He's an opportunistic fuckwad. He's a grifter.
Bernie is none of these things. However, he did make some mistakes in his campaign that led to issues and part of the reason why he didn't succeed. He didn't go hard enough against Biden. He should have been pushing his anti-Social Security stances from Biden's past. He should have been pushing the weird around women. There are a lot of things he should have been pushing that he didn't, and as a result, these were just kind of fringe things that no one really talked about. He didn't put out ads talking about Biden wanting to cut Social Security. And every time he did try to push in, the Biden campaign pushed back and Bernie caved. But he's not a grifter. He believes in what he believes in. Unfortunately, he wasn't willing to take the steps necessary to succeed in this time. Yeah, as I said yesterday in a video I put out, the video I put out today actually, unfortunately, Bernie was just not a sufficiently popular populist. Like Trump, he has a rock-solid core of voters. Unfortunately, he didn't appeal much outside that. And it's yet to be seen how much Trump's appeal outside of that core remains. We'll see.
He's a scam artist and has been since the 1970s. The dude doesn't know how to do anything useful. He has 3 or 4 issues that he talks.
Oh, this is going to make me angry. Bernie has been fighting the good fight, so to speak, for his entire adult life. He's demonstrated in Chicago. He marched with Martin Luther King. He opened the first gay and lesbian center in New England. Bernie has walked the walk and talked the talk his entire life. It's only in the last 5 or so years that there's been a more popular movement agreeing with his message. And he attempted to capitalize on it, but he made mistakes, and it just isn't popular enough to overcome the media machine.
Talks about everything else has to be framed in that sense. And I told people why Bernie would lose for months now. Number one, he won't drop the term socialism. Socialism is not popular. When people show me...
And by using it, he's showing that it's a good thing and making it more popular. We have several congresspeople who are explicitly socialist. They're not even couching it necessarily in the Nordic model or anything like that. They are revolutionary-style socialists. Just look at Joshua Collins. Even Lee Carter is pretty cool, pretty based. And these are the kind of people we need to support down ballot. If you can't vote for Biden, I understand. You should, especially if you're in a swing state, and especially if you're in a red state. Depending on how the next few months go, there is a possibility that Trump could lose a lot of support if the media is able to connect his actions or lack thereof to people dying, which is a very real possibility. So if we manage to shift some red states more purple or blue, that could do a lot of good in America. And more importantly, you need to vote down ballot. We need to see these votes come in for senators and representatives and governors and sheriffs and all these kinds of people who have influence on our local position, our local politics. It's important that we vote those people in so that we can maintain some control in our local area and grow from there. He's right, though, to run for the big chair. You can't scare off half of your potential voters. I'll be honest, I don't think even Bernie thought he could be elected until Iowa, and I think it fell off after that. So yes, I agree you shouldn't use a word that would scare off half of your potential voters, but again, I don't think he actually wanted to win until he started to win, and by then he'd already committed to it.
Number one, he won't drop the term socialism. Socialism is not popular. When people show me cooked data saying, no, socialism is actually popular, yes, if you say you want to give someone free shit, they're likely to say yes. If they...
Socialism is popular among the young people. It's still very unpopular among older people, and unfortunately, older people, it's easier for them to vote. But socialism is becoming more and more popular among the youth as people younger than me, but people my age as well, are seeing how capitalism is not working. It works for some people, but for the vast majority of Americans, it is not helping. It is creating a worse situation.
They read the fine print and find out that they actually have to pay twice as much taxes for the rest of their life, which most of the middle class would have to do. They're going to be turned off by that idea.
None of Bernie's proposals increased taxes by that much for the vast majority of Americans. His proposals definitely increased taxes at the top end, but I think they can afford to pay a little more tax.
In fact, only the younger demographics within specifically the Democratic Party support socialism. No Republican or independent demographic, and only half of the Democrats support.
That is incorrect. The majority of people supporting Bernie were independents. That's where a lot of the Bernie or bust sentiment is coming from, is that, well, people are not Democrats. They're not registered as Democrats. They feel no loyalty to the Democratic Party, and they're saying, hey, why are we supposed to support Biden? We're not Democrats. We don't agree with the Democratic Party. We were just going along with it because of Bernie. And what these people need to realize is that if they want to be politically effective, they have to work within the two-party system.
Support it. So he never really had any capital. Number two, he's just too old. The dude had a heart attack in the middle of his campaign. He had a serious...
Yes, he had a heart attack and then received the best medical care in the nation, if not the world. Look, I know heart attacks are scary, but my father, who is an obese, alcoholic, 2 to 3 pack a day smoker, had his second heart attack in his 60s 5 years ago. Bernie is in orders of magnitude better health, has orders of magnitude better health care, and had his first heart attack at 78. His age is a concern, but not because of his heart. It's just because old people are more fragile in general. Trump's health is much closer to my dad than Bernie Sanders. But the Republican Party wants you to be scared of Bernie's health and not Trump's.
Heart attack a few months ago. That's not great news for a political campaign either. Number three, as I've said, he doesn't have that many issues that he talks about. He doesn't know how to talk about it.
No, because he knows that if he talks about all the issues he wants to talk about, he'd lose a lot of people. That's why he hammers in on the ones that he knows are the most effective. Healthcare, workers' rights, the environment. Those are the three he focuses in on because he knows that healthcare is something that everyone is worried about. The environment is our biggest issue going forward. And workers' rights are one of the best ways we can improve the lives of the majority of people in America.
Any other issues, because his whole life has revolved around running for office being the far leftist. And so that's all he can do. So when there's a pandemic, he can only talk about Medicaid for all. He can, or Medicare for all, or whatever the fuck it is. He can only talk about those same issues. He can only frame new issues.
And what issues did Trump talk about, your God Emperor? The wall, immigration, trade deals. Trump also focused on a couple, 3 issues and hammered them in. If asked, Bernie can talk about other issues much more eloquently than other people, but he knew what people want to hear about. There's a reason why his message resonated as much as it did, and it's because people are scared of the environment. They're scared of global climate change. They're scared about their health care. And they've seen the declining power of the American worker.
In terms of the old ones he recognizes already. Joe Biden is now the nominee of the Democratic Party. What does this mean?
Allegedly.
The Democratic nominee is a marble-mouthed dude with dementia who doesn't even realize often what year it is. It means that Trump has just fundamentally been reelected. That's what it means. You think Joe Biden's actually going to survive?
I mean, he's not wrong. The only thing keeping me going are the Trump-Biden debates, which are inevitably going to happen, and Biden is going to look like a complete addlepated fool on stage. I hate Trump. Trump is a loathsome human being. But he is also the kind of person who can run circles around an unprepared debate opponent. He knows how to make someone look foolish. I mean, say what you will about Hillary Clinton, she knows how to use rhetoric. She is a decent rhetorician and speaker. And she only won the debates in 2016 because Trump can't help but shit himself sometimes. And there was even 1 or 2 debates, if I recall correctly, that Trump won because he failed to shit himself. Put Trump up against Biden? Someone who can't complete a 5-minute telecall without bumbling over his words like someone drunk on a 5th of vodka? It's no contest. That said, we still need to vote for Biden. I know he's a bad candidate, but he will be better in office than Trump, if only by a hair.
Survive on a debate stage against Donald Trump? I got some fucking land and swampland to sell you if you actually believe that. And I think that's a good thing for the United States. I happen to largely approve of the job that Trump is doing. Yes, I know, Trumpanzee, far right, evil, bigot, fanatic. I don't really care. That just sort of, it isn't even meaningful at this point because the people who are saying that all have chopped off half their limbs to be trans-crippled and weird shit like that. You know, Reddit isn't real.
Trans-crippled? That's a new one. Still dumb as ever.
Life. That's the other reason. Bernie lost because Twitter and Tumblr and Reddit do not comprise the majority of the U.S. population.
It's true, but it does represent a decent cross-section, and the influence of social media on recent presidential elections cannot be denied. I mean, fuck, back in 2006, we got a person to back out of the primary because he made a weird sound at a rally. Remember this Howard Dean? The yeah! Apologies to any headphone users. He made that noise once at a rally, and in 2006, it ran into the ground, and he had to back out.
You were told by more intelligent liberal individuals that this was the case, and people persisted even until about an hour ago when Bernie suspended his campaign and saying, he can still do it, he can still do it, it's an illegitimate election, the primaries are rigged, Joe.
I mean, it is an illegitimate election. The exit polls are so far off that if they happened in South America, the country would already be couped. But remember, the courts have said that the DNC does not even have to pretend to abide by the will of the people. We can get to the convention time, and whatever cyber convention they end up holding, they can just say, oh, yep, so we're going to put Hillary Clinton on the ticket as the president, and we're going to have Nancy Pelosi as her VP. That's right, 2 women. It's the most progressive ticket ever. And there's nothing we can do to stop that. I mean, nothing within the system.
Biden can't win, which I agree with, actually. Bernie Sanders is our only hope. Yes, a youth coalition that never shows up at the polls because they're not actually that goddamn excited for him.
The youth are very excited for him, but there are more older people, unfortunately, who are willing to vote against Bernie, and younger people have greater barriers to voting within our system, particularly in the pandemic situation we're in. I mean, there was something like 5 polling places for all of Milwaukee this week. 5 polling places for a town that, what is the population of Milwaukee? 592,000 people. 5 polling places for just shy of 600,000 people. So yeah, if you had a job or if you were concerned about being in public among a bunch of people because we have a pandemic on, as many younger people are taking this more seriously than older people, yeah, there's a lot of reasons why younger people didn't vote, and almost none of them are a lack of enthusiasm.
Where's the revolution?
And this is ignoring the old political theory that whenever a candidate comes along and riles up the youth, those youth's parents and grandparents get even more riled up in opposition to them.
Revolution, dude. There's a song by Depeche Mode called Where's the Revolution? Excellent song. Yeah, that might as well have been the sort of slogan of the whole fucking campaign. Bernie Sanders is no revolutionary. He's a self-serving old man and a career politician. That's all he's ever been. I call on my fellow Vermonters to reject him completely. Looks like we'll have some success in it too, considering the fact that only 50% of the Democrats apparently still support him. Republicans, you might be able to knock him out of the Senate if he tries to run again. You realize that, correct? You might be able to get a Vermont Senate seat. Try to lay the groundwork now. Get some local organization going. Get rid of Phil Scott while you're at it too. He's basically the same thing, and he's got an R after his name. He makes Mitt Romney look like Trump's best friend sometimes. Really very funny. I am so happy that Sanders is gone. You know what? At the end of the day, part of it is self-serving. Yeah, I work hard and therefore I make a middle-class income. I do it entirely myself. I'm already taxed up the ass because I'm independently self-employed.
And you benefit from things like roads, post office, internet. Your internet is subsidized by tax money, although we still pay way, way, way too much in America. Gas and electric, that's all part of your taxes, although, we also pay for that. There's so many things that you benefit from that your taxes go to, and you could benefit more from if we use those taxes properly, as Bernie Sanders recommended.
I already have a surcharge on every penny that I make that even the people a bracket above me don't pay my rate. I already get abused by the system. Anyone telling me that the system is okay unless you're rich and the rich don't pay enough, everyone else is fine and they won't have to pay anymore. I shouldn't even have to pay as much as I pay now. But I looked at Bernie Sanders' math and I determined that I would pay more because I'm not dumb. I'm not so goddamn intellectually crippled, so sick in the head that I actually believe what this crazy man is telling me. And I think you have to be a little bit nutty to believe what Bernie Sanders has said. His plans can't work. There's a reason that even the Democratic Party...
I really hate this talking point, especially when it's used by people ostensibly on our side, although Styx is not. Bernie explained how he would pay for everything. It's all on his website. We can go over it, but it's irrelevant at this point. He had the numbers, and he had it worked out. So when people say that we can't afford it, well, we also shouldn't be able to afford $1 trillion a day for the stock market, but we are. So let's not talk about how much we couldn't afford Bernie's plans.
Party has roundly rejected them. And his little coalition of miscreants is drying up too. AOC might not even be left a congressional seat. Her district might disappear because the Dems are tired of her. They might just choose to take it right out from under, and good riddance to her if they do. Kick Elon Omar out the same time. I can't wait to see the reaction of all these Bernie bros who tried over and over for months to try to dispel what I was saying. They tried over and over to debate me on the points, and I told them, I'm from Vermont. I am acutely aware of what Sanders stands for. I've seen the man speak in person on multiple occasions. I've seen him sitting on the street corner waving a sign in the 2008 election season. I remember these things because I'm actually there, living in Vermont. Then these people criticize you for not being well-traveled enough, and then you remind them that you're currently living in Amsterdam. And that's a totally different story. I mean, I tried.
Traveling is important, but I don't really think Vermont to Amsterdam is that well-traveled. I mean, you're not exactly experiencing that much of a different lifestyle in Amsterdam, my dude.
I tried over and over to warn you about Bernie Sanders, that he was going to let you down, and he's going to, no refunds, by the way, he's got your money, okay?
This is not true. If you donated to Bernie Sanders and call and ask for a refund, they will give it to you. I'm undecided whether you should, given how much he's changed his campaign to a charity apparatus, but if you ask, they will refund him.
So he can do whatever he wants with that, I guess. And now he'll buy his second lake house, his next cabin. He tried to downplay his wealth. It was really funny. Yes, I have 3 houses. Like many people, I have an extra home. I have a main home and a vacation.
That's true as well. They absolutely can't keep the money anyway. No, it's not going to buy him another home. It's probably just going to the charities he's been asking for the entire time since the COVID pandemic hit. Yeah, this guy is a fucking idiot.
Vacation home, and then I have a cabin, a lakeside cabin, and that's not a normal life, Bernie. You're a millionaire. You make 6 figures a year. That's not normal. I wish I made your kind of money. Except the tax rate I'd have to pay then would be even more draconian, because instead of getting your cushy congressional bullshit, I have to pay for everything myself and pay an extra 15%. So I said hell no to Bernie.
This is the other thing that really irks me about a lot of people. Bernie is just trying to give everyone the same benefits he enjoys. Free at point of sale healthcare, a good paying job, a guarantee that you will have that income. But when Trump does questionable shit with his campaign money, like paying off porn stars, apparently that's perfectly fine. Exactly. Trump can pay off Stormy Daniels, and he doesn't even get impeached. But the mere suggestion that Bernie might use his money however he feels shows he's a grifter and steal. Yeah, whatever.
And I said that in 2016, and I'm damn proud about it. And I'm so happy that he's dropped out. Fucking disappear. Just retire early or something. Oh, put some staffer in that seat.
Bernie's not going anywhere, Styx. He's staying in that Senate seat until at least 2024. And I guarantee he's going to be a thorn in Trump's side for that entire time.
Your wife fill it. Do whatever you need to do, but just get out of the way of actual progress. Because
this is really insulting, given that it's describing the guy who literally yelled the Senate into submission about the unemployment reforms in the last stimulus bill. Yeah, Bernie's in the way of real progress.
There's nothing progressive, there's nothing revolutionary about Bernie Sanders, and there never has been. He was a revolutionary in the 70s, in the corporatized days back in the Jimmy Carter administration with the far left bleeding heart reforms of the era. He was a little bit out there. He was kind of a goofy dude, he dabbled with communism and took his honeymoon in the USSR, and that's kind of edgy at the time. It's not edgy now.
It wasn't a honeymoon. It was a government-sponsored trip to help foster relations between the Soviet Union and America by creating sister cities. Burlington, Vermont, and I forget the name of the city he visited in Russia, were sister cities. So he was going there to foster relations, approved by the U.S. government.
The Soviet Union doesn't exist anymore, Bernie. What are you talking about? And his brain-dead fans, it's going to be so funny to see them crying so many tears. And a lot of them will say, in their anger at Bernie for dropping out, they say, well, I'm not going to vote for Biden. I'm going to vote for Trump as a joke. I'm going to stay home. Oh my God, I'm so sad. How could Bernie do this? Like, you weren't warned by people like me for months and months that he would. You'll end up voting for Biden. Most of you. Some of you will just stay home. Most of you will vote for Biden. Get over it. It'll be so funny to see the few that don't, go.
I'll be honest. For all my arguments about voting for Biden, there is still a part of me who wants to tell the establishment, and especially fucks like this, to fuck off, to not vote for Biden. But then I remember that the world is bigger than me and my feelings. And even though it may be validating this fuck's idea in one tiny respect, I gotta do it. For all the marginalized people out there, for the people who currently do not have health care, they should be better under a Biden presidency, as bad as that may be.
Crazy. They'll let go a little bit. They can't go and riot because, it's a stay-at-home order and they get shot maybe. I'm having a great day. What about you? That's about all. Peace out.
One thing I will say about Styx is that he doesn't load his videos up with a bunch of shilling for his own shit. Sad, Bernie is such a nice guy, he'd give you the shirt off of someone else's back. Yeah. One of my least favorite things I've heard about socialism is a socialist wants everything you have except your job. To which I reply, no, a socialist wants to make sure you get paid for your job. Idiot. Hey, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thank you. See you next time.